Good day, folks, and welcome back to Ed's Garage. Today we're at Valley Toyota having a look at this beautiful 2025 Toyota Tacoma Sport Plus. That's right, we're not at the Bannister Hyundai today, we're at the Valley Toyota. Thank you to Valley Toyota for being gracious enough for letting me have a quick look at this awesome truck. Really love the Tacoma. It's a good looking truck. I mean, it's no Rivian, but but this one, especially in the black, looks phenomenal. So these were new for 2024, and then this being the Sport Plus kind of mid-trim, I guess. There's a couple trims above this and a couple trims below this. I don't know the trim line all that well, to be honest. However, I did get a nice lesson from Jacob here at Valley Toyota about all of the features on this cool truck, and that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to show you what you get for your money with the 2025 Toyota Tacoma Sport Plus. Now, if you're into off-roading, then I want to point out that the option you should probably look at is the TRD 4x4 off-road, like this beautiful example right here. This is a nice looking truck. I don't believe this is a 25, though. This is a used one, a little bit older, but yeah, it's got some nice tires on it and whatnot. But they, of course, do still make the TRD off-road. This one, being the TRD Sport, doesn't get things like locking differentials, sway bar disconnects, that sort of thing. But you do still have really good ground clearance, and it does, of course, have a low-range 4x4 gearbox. So it's going to be fine for off-roading, especially if you upgrade those tires. But let's have a look around and see what all the features look like on this nice little truck. And we're going to do that by starting at the very front. Now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to look under this this fake hood scoop here to see what kind of engine this is. All right, so under the hood we have a 2.4 liter inline 4-cylinder turbocharged engine making 278 horsepower and about 315 foot-pounds of torque, which honestly, it's enough. But again, I would recommend the hybrid for more power. Fuel efficiency is going to be about the same between the two. We got a insulation along the firewall there to reduce engine noise. No silly plastic cover because it's not needed. A couple of fuse boxes, battery in the back there, easy enough to get to. Coolant, windshield washer fluid right up front, very easy to get to. Brake fluid in the back. No insulation under the hood, unfortunately, but there is a little bit of rubberized sealant here to stop a little bit of wind noise, so that's good to see. And that's pretty much it. That's all there is to see under the hood. Now, of course, this is mated to I believe it's an 8-speed automatic transmission, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. And of course, it's got a low-range gearbox, which I'll show you the buttons for in a bit. All right, below the grille, you can see we've got a couple of nice LED projection fog lights, and then we've got forward-facing parking sensors as well. There's also rear parking sensors, so easy to park this vehicle, despite being, a long pickup truck. Way down at the bottom, we do unfortunately have an ugly chin, but that can be pulled off, that little spoiler. It's only 4 bolts holding that on, can be very easily pulled off. Above the license plate, you can see we've got the forward-facing radar system and the forward-facing camera in the windshield there. Those things together are what's used for the adaptive cruise control, lane keep assistance, lane departure warning, pre-collision alert, as well as autonomous emergency braking. Headlights, we have a single projection lens here for your high beams and your headlights, and of course that is also LED. And then flanking the sides on the fenders here, you can see we've got the air curtain pass-through, which of course does its best to create a curtain of air over the wheels to reduce aerodynamic drag. 18-inch aluminum alloy wheels. We got the little TRD symbol in the middle there, surrounded by General Grabber tires. These are a 265, 65, 18. Pretty good ground clearance on this one, despite it not being the off-road version. So this can be easily made to off-road. Unfortunately, no lockers on this one. So you probably just get some nice tires and take it off-road and you'll be good. Now, despite there not being any lockers on this, and also not having the really awesome advanced crawl control, the stability and traction control on these is pretty spectacular, so these are going to do just fine off-road as well. All right, let's continue on down the side here. And you can see we got marker lights on the mirrors. Of course, the mirrors also have the little icon for blind spot monitoring. Nice little Tacoma badge there. You'll notice the bottom sort of rocker panel area is all this heavy kind of orange peel paint. And that's actually going to help protect the paint because a lot of rocks get flung up from the wheels, especially if you don't have mud guards. This one, of course, does. It looks like they were put on by the dealership. But if you're doing any sort of off-roading, those are going to be the first thing you're going to want to take off. On the door handles, you can see we have proximity entry. Well, you can't see it, but these do have keyless proximity entry. So all you do is just put your hand in there, car unlocks, truck unlocks rather, and there's a little button there if you want to lock the doors manually from there as well. Going further down, fuel cap on the left-hand side here where it should be, and it does take E85 fuel as well if needed. Going further back, got the TRD Sport badge there, tailpipe sticking out the left side. You can see we've got the proximity sensors, the parking sensors on the back. And then we've got 7-pin wiring here. Now this does also have, it also has 4-pin. It does also have the trailer brake controller inside, because of course this does come with the hitch. I believe the hitch comes pre-installed. I'm not sure if the dealership put that on or not. You can see the spare tire poking through right there. And in the box, backup camera there. In the box, first off, you'll notice it does have the dampened tailgate. The whole box is lined with plastic, so that's kind of nice. Tie downs in all 4 corners and box lights up there and on either side. Also, the top of the box rails are also lined with plastic, so that's good to see. Now, as the owner of a pickup truck that has a very heavy tailgate, I'm always curious to know how light the tailgate is when you close it. The lighter the better, because if the tailgate's dirty, and trust me, if you do a lot of off-roading, the tailgate's going to be dirty. The last thing you want to do is get an entire hand on there. It's going to get a really dusty, gross hand. So, can I lift this like the Hyundai Santa Cruz, for instance, with 1 finger? Let's have a look. Oh, look at that! That's awesome. All right, so not only is it a dampened tailgate, but you can lift it with 1 finger. Okay, let's jump inside. First, we're going to check out the back seat, and then we'll jump on the front seat and look at all the features inside. Okay, so first thing I see in the back here is on the bottom left, we do have a bottle holder. Of course, bottle holders in both doors, little TRD badge there. No cushioning on the armrest, unfortunately. Pretty small door as well. This is, of course, just a double cab. It's not a crew cab or anything like that, but I'll get into it in a moment. First, I want to show you, it does have some under floor or under bench storage. So this is kind of interesting. Look, it's got a little button here. So you can lift this up, and then you put this little button right here. Yeah, there we go. And that way that stays up and doesn't fall down onto your stuff. There's a good amount of storage underneath the floor, and that storage does continue on under the passenger side as well. However, there is some sort of component underneath the passenger side. My guess is that it might be an amp, because if we put this seat back down, check this out, we can kind of tuck this in here to clean it up nicely. And then we move the headrest out of the way, which is a little bit awkward. And then we pull this tab right here. We can actually put the whole seat back down as well. And behind this seat is a subwoofer. That's pretty cool. So there might be an amp underneath the passenger side. There's also a little bit more storage here as well. And then we have additional storage behind the passenger side seat. The rear window does also open up. So this opens up, that's power. I'll point that out in a bit if I remember to do so. And then to put this back up, pretty simple. Just lift it and then put the headrest back up. And then you kind of have to put the headrest up and push down to lock it into place. All right, now one place that the Toyota Tacoma has suffered in the past is rear seat space, especially legroom, and also the seat backs being very upright. Now, I am not some massive Toyota fan that I'm going to try to make stuff up. So I'm going to be as objective as I can here. The front seat is placed in a position where I'm still comfortable, but I'm trying to give the back seat a little bit of extra space. But it's still very, very comfortable for me in the front. Let's see what the back seat is like now. Oh, it's close. My knees are up against the back of the seat. There is a nice grab handle here to get in and out, which is kind of cool. And let's see, I don't have, unfortunately, there's no cup holder armrest or anything like that. There is cup holders here, but no armrest for the rear passengers. For the center seat, let's see if I can, pretty good for headroom, actually. At 6'2", I still have about 3/4 of an inch above my head, even in the center seat. On the outboard seats, yeah, definitely not a problem here for headroom. As far as knee room, leg room, okay, well, knees, like I said, they're up against the seat, but generally you're gonna sit, knees spread out a little bit. I can put my feet underneath the seat, more or less. It's not bad. The seat back is still pretty straight up, though, unfortunately. But that's kind of hard to get away with when you have a 6-foot box, and a small mid-sized pickup truck. Yeah, you gotta make some compromise somewhere. So that's kind of to be expected, and that's fine. Other than that, though, the seat, I would say that the seat back is pretty comfortable. The seat base is a little on the hard side, but it's not too bad, and I imagine it would soften up over time after you've been in the seat for a bit. Probably softens up a little with warmth, so pretty good overall. The only major gripe would be the fact that the armrests are not padded like they are in the front. Show you what I mean. Let's go to the front. All right, I always like to see if the passenger was forgotten during the design of the vehicle, and I'm happy to say that in the Tacoma, they were not, at least not in the Sport Plus anyway. You do have a power front seat on the passenger side, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, that's tilt, 5, 6, that's height, 7, 8, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that's your seat back, and then 9, 10, 11, 12. Nice. So 12-way adjustable power passenger seat. And I will say these are very, very well bolstered. You got the sport cloth in this particular one. If you want leather, you got to go a trim level up. But nice looking cloth. Anyway, we got two-tone cloth here, which is kind of cool. But having 12-way adjustable power passenger seat is definitely a bonus with the height adjustment, tilt adjustment for longer legs, and that 4-way lower back support, so not only in and out but up and down. That is an absolute plus. On the door itself, on this side we have, looks like 2 or 3 bottles could probably fit in there. Nice little storage pocket here, although I would worry a little bit that that's used to close the door because this handle is quite small. So that's, I think, a design that they could have done a little bit better. That's pretty weak. I would expect that to be broken. In 10 years, this is going to be broken. But yeah, check this out. A nice padded armrest, so that's quite nice to see. And that's pretty much it on the passenger side, other than a little bit of storage up here. It's not rubberized, so whatever's in there is going to slide around a little bit. A very large glove box, though. It's actually lots of room in there. That's good to see as well. As far as storage for the passenger, you do get a kind of a chunky bunch of storage here. A little purse hanger and another grab handle. There's no grab handle on the driver's side headliner. However, there is one on the passenger side headliner. So lots of places for the passenger to hang on to if you're flying down a dirt road. There's also a USB-C port right here. So that's great. So if you do have a phone in there, you can charge right from there, which is pretty good. Okay, let's check out the driver's side. All right, so I have not moved the seat, so you'll see where I had it. Now, ordinarily, I'm going to pull the seat back a little bit, but if I've got somebody behind me, you'll see I can still drive comfortably in this position. This is more than fine. It's totally acceptable. I'm quite comfortable sitting here like this. As you can see, I've got good support underneath my legs because we do have the tilt adjustment in the seat. So same seat configuration, 12-way adjustable power. Okay, we'll see how much of my training I remember. Okay, so sitting in the front driver's seat of a Toyota Tacoma Sport Plus. So first impressions, I do like the fact that all of the armrests are the same height. So that's good. So the center cup holder armrest, I say cup holder armrest, but the center armrest is the same height as the door armrests, which is always beneficial. Yeah, I do wish that the handle for the door was a little further, a little longer, because grabbing it is a little bit awkward, especially if the door were to suddenly fling open in the wind. Having to catch it real quick in a hurry is a very small spot to put your hand there. And again, I really don't think that this is going to last, because somebody's going to just be like, grab that and close the door. I mean, it was really easy for me to do that, and yeah, I suspect that if it doesn't break for that reason, it's going to break for some other reason. It's pretty chintzy plastic, unfortunately. As for the rest of the interior, yeah, I mean, it's not bad. There's a lot of black here. We got a little bit of brushed sort of aluminum or brushed steel look. It is still plastic, but it does at least break up the monotony. One thing I will say is there's basically no piano black other than around the outside of the screen, but that's just a little tiny bit. And that's good. So there's not going to be any fingerprints in this vehicle. We've got some microphones up here, probably a temperature sensor as well. Both of the sun visors do have lights and mirrors, and they probably both slide. Let's check. Oh yeah, it passes that. Excellent. Up in the headliner, you can see we've got the control for the sunroof, and I believe, yeah, that's for the rear window. So let me spin the camera around here. You can see, there it is, the rear window. Nice power window, that's pretty cool. And then the sunroof. Let's see how wide that sunroof goes. All right, not bad. It goes a little bit further, so it stops short initially to stop that buffeting noise if you don't have any other windows open. And is it automatic? Yes, it is. We've also got an up-down button here, and I believe that's just to tilt the sunroof. Yeah, that just tilts the sunroof up and down. And then we have our interior lighting, of course. So yeah, these are individual map lights on the sides here. I had a sunglass holder. That's fantastic, but oh my goodness, there's a lot of plastic there. Not really well lined. There's a little bit of padding in the back, but the fact that it has a sunglasses holder is fantastic. We have the SOS button here because this vehicle does have, in Canada anyway, 10 years of SOS emergency and apparently service info calling something rather. So it's got 10 years of basic telematics. So that's pretty good. 3 years of remote start and stuff like that from your cell phone. So app support is 3 years, and then the safety and service thing is like 10 years. So that's pretty good. Yeah, we don't see that in a lot of car manufacturers, but they are kind of moving that way as well. So good to see. Okay, let's start with the buttons on the far left, or continue rather, with the buttons on the far left. And I'm glad I got a bit of a rundown from Jacob. Again, thank you, Jacob, because I would have thought that this was the dimmer switch. This is not. This is the headlight adjustment. So basically what that means is if you're pulling a trailer, you can adjust the angle of the headlights to kind of go back to normal, because of course the back of the truck will be a bit lower, so you need to adjust the front headlights down a bit. That's pretty neat. Right beside that is the dimmer button. It's not really a switch or a toggle, but basically there are different levels of brightness, and as you press the button, it kind of cycles through those different levels. So we'll keep it on brightest here for now. We have automatic high beams. So if we turn that on, high beams will come on automatically, and of course you can also just push the stock away from you to turn them on manually. Right next to that is the traction and stability control button. Press that once, it will turn traction control off. If I hold it down, I presume it will turn off stability. Let's try. There we go. Traction control turned off. Okay. Maybe not. Okay, so it looks like it just disengages the traction control, unless I'm doing something wrong. If I am, please comment below. This is pretty cool though. We got 3 auxiliary buttons here. Now these auxiliary switches control relays that you can put stuff on. So for instance, if you have like a roof-mounted light bar, for instance, you can actually connect that to one of these auxiliary switches, so you don't have to run an independent switch and, you know, do some crazy ugly hack job. Right here is your box lights, so you can have the box lights on all the time, on when the doors are open, or just off altogether. So I imagine they want them when the doors are open. And then way down here is the hood release. As I mentioned before, actually I don't think I did mention this, but it does have tilt and telescopic steering. So it'll go up and down and in and out. So that's kind of standard these days though. As for the stalks on the steering wheel, so we got our headlights here. Now it is automatic headlights as well as automatic high beams, as I mentioned, but you can turn on the parking lights or turn on the headlights manually. And of course we have the fog light switch there as well. This does have momentary turn signal thing, so one-touch turn signal. If you tap it, it will flash a few times. Not sure if that's customizable or not. I'll have to look into the settings for that. But of course, otherwise it's just a normal turn signal stock. Going over to the right stock, we can see we have our window wiper washer. So pushing it up is just mist. So if you need to just do one quick swipe, you push it up. If you want to turn them on, you push the stock down. And then of course you get intermediate, low, and high. And then right here is your intermediate adjustment, okay? And then also if you pull this towards you, it of course will clean the front windshield. Nothing when you push on it though. Okay, on the steering wheel, we have our back button and then arrows and up and down. Okay, so this is all going to control stuff in there, apparently. So none of these buttons do anything with the stereo or anything like that. It's all to control this screen. I'm going to get back to that in a minute. We have our answer and hang up button right there, our volume up and down. Voice recognition, there is some basic commands that you can use. This vehicle does not come with navigation. You have to purchase that separately. So as you can see here, you have to hit get started and go through a subscription service for the navigation. However, it does have wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. So you don't necessarily need to buy navigation because you can just use your phone navigation right up there on that screen. Looks to be about an 8-inch screen. It is of course a touch screen. It's a matte finish, which is good to see, and it's kind of in this tablet on the dash style looking thing here, but I believe it's non-polarized, so that'll be good if you wear polarized sunglasses. So yeah, basic navigation system does need a subscription, but you do have some basic voice commands. Now, this button will also control, of course, your Google Assistant or Siri if you're using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. On the right side of the steering wheel, we have our controls for adaptive cruise control. So first off, you got your adaptive cruise control button here. This right here will change the distance. So the bottom half of this button, there's two halves of this button. So the bottom half of this button will change the distance that you're following the car in front of you. So that, I'll show you on the screen here. You can see those lines. So there's basically 1, 2, 3, 4 different distances that the adaptive cruise will follow the car in front of you. Now, if you hate adaptive cruise like I do, and wish that you had this option in every single car ever, you can actually disable adaptive cruise control and make it just regular cruise control. That's fantastic, and that should be an option in every vehicle. So good to see that it's here in the 25 Tacoma. To the right of that, we have a resume button and a adjustment for speed. So you can increase or decrease the speed that the cruise control is set to, or you can just cancel it altogether. Right above the cancel button is the lane keep assist and lane centering button. So you'll notice here I can press that and it cycles on and off. And then below those we have a mode button. So this is one place where I've got to knock them a little bit here. So anytime you have controls for the stereo on both sides, it does minimize the ease of use a little bit. So the controls for the stereo, basically this mode button will cycle through, AM, FM, Bluetooth, USB music, that sort of thing. These two right here will go to next track, previous track, or next preset, previous preset. And what is nice is that it does show you that on the little center screen there, as you can see at the bottom there. So that's kind of cool. But then on the other side of the steering wheel is your volume control. So it would have been, personally, I would have done this differently. I would have had the volume controls and the stereo controls all on the same side. I think that would have made more sense, because now you just got to remember which side is which. Now, again, minor thing, but if you're brand new to the vehicle, these are all things that you got to get used to and get and learn. All right, so that's it for the buttons on that side there. Looking over to the center console, you can see we've got a small center console storage area. It's not enormous or anything, and it just latches in just like that. A couple of cup holders, little springy things to hold different sized cups. Okay, we've got our different drive modes here, and I had to learn about this. So it has Eco, Sport, and Normal, and to change those drive modes, apparently what you got to do is press this button first, then rotate this knob. And then it's also got the tow haul mode here. So if you're in tow haul, you can switch back to regular drive modes by pressing this button. If you're already in regular drive modes, though, I don't think you need to press the button first. That's right. Yeah, so basically this just cycles between towing and hauling mode and regular driving modes. With the tow haul, I believe, let me see here. Yeah, I don't think this does anything. I'm not seeing anything change on the screen there. There's a brake controller on the right-hand side right here. So that's where you can see your brake controller. But I don't think this does anything. Well, it does go to that screen when I move it here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So we're looking at, in a moment here, there's our speedometer. Now, if I rotate that knob, it goes into this screen. So if that does anything different, by all means, let me know, but I'm not seeing anything else that does. Okay, now you can see right above that we have 2 high, 4 high, and 4 low. And to change that, this is not a button. Basically, you got to point this thing at the correct spot. So basically, my guess is that we can move it to 4 high. There's a little button on the side here. It's kind of hard to video this and show you at the same time, but there we go. That's 4 high, and currently it's flashing the 4 high logo on the screen. And I assume that when I put it into drive, I'm not sure if I have to go into neutral on this one or not. Let's have a look here. Okay, nope, we're in 4 high. But if I want to go into 4 low, let's try it without putting it into neutral, see what happens. So it just dings. Yeah, no, it's got to go into neutral. So we pop it into neutral, and it stops dinging, which is the right way it should be. It deactivates tow haul mode automatically, puts us into 4 low, and on the right shows us that everything's disabled. All the safety technology, including traction stability control, autonomous braking, that sort of thing. All of the safety tech is now disabled. And while it's in neutral, I'm going to go ahead and put it back into two-wheel drive. Oh, this feels a little janky. I don't like this. But there we go. We're back into two-wheel drive. Go ahead and put it back into park. We got a hold button right here, so that's when you come to a stop and you let off the brakes. The truck won't move. Power e-brake, so lift that to set the e-brake, push it down to turn off the e-brake as long as your foot is on the brakes when you do so. Otherwise, that is automatic. You'll notice there is a sport mode on the shifter, so if you're in drive and you move the shifter to the left, you can now shift gears manually if you want. And I was right, it is an 8-speed automatic transmission. I was just able to figure that out. Wireless charging pad right here. Right next to that is nothingness, and we have two USB-C ports and a 12-volt power outlet. We have our heated steering wheel. I believe it is just the grips. I'm going to go ahead and turn that on now and just see. We have automatic climate control, so this right here will change your temperature. It is just single zone, okay? It's not dual zone climate control. 3 levels of heated seat, and we've got our front defrost, rear defrost with mirrors. And by the way, that little window that opens in the back is also defrosted, which is nice. Mode is just where the air is coming out, and then they recirculate, and you can turn on the AC manually as well. But why would you do any of that? Because you have automatic climate control. We also have fan speed over on the right here, right next to the oddly placed hazard switch. One thing I forgot to mention is that there is 3 garage door or gate buttons underneath the mirror here, so it does have that home link functionality. And you can see we got the big red TRD engine start-stop button right there. Okay, so we've looked at everything so far other than the 2 screens. Now that's going to be the more complicated one, I think. But let's go over what you can do on this screen here using these buttons. So it's left, right, up, down, okay, and back. Okay, so all right, so the first thing to note is that on the default screen that we're looking at right here, the left and right arrow buttons will cycle between 3 separate screens. Let me show you what I mean here. So on this particular screen, you can see we've got the turbo boost gauge here. We've got a tachometer on the left. On the right-hand side here, speedometer, of course. Total average consumption, liters per 100 kilometers, which of course can be customized. And in the middle, we'll show you, your cruise control information and whatnot. If I move to the left by pressing this left arrow button, it switches a couple of things around. You'll notice now we have our drivetrain information here, so where power is going to, like which wheel is getting power. On the right-hand side, we have our pitch and yaw, so that's kind of cool. So if you're off-roading, you can see how many degrees of an incline you're either going up or riding alongside. So that's pretty cool. So pitch and yaw controls. If I press that left arrow button again, on the left side now, we have our battery voltage, our oil temperature, and then on the right side, our engine temperature, as well as transmission temperature. And you'll notice that the center has changed a little bit as well, because now it says settings. So if I press the OK button, I can get into the settings. But first I'm gonna hit the left button again, and you can see it takes us back to this screen right here. And now it says, okay, hold OK to change settings. I'm not sure if they're the same. Let me try that here. I'm gonna hold OK. All right, so now we have driving support. I'm gonna go to the top screen first. Okay, blank. What if I go left or right here? Oh, look at that. So I can actually change now the different things that are in here. So those things that I showed you there a moment ago, those are just kind of the defaults. Now we've got nothing on the screen. So holding settings on that particular screen allows me to change what this screen looks like. Okay, so you can see it's gone now. So I'm gonna have to hold the OK button again. I'm gonna have to hit the left arrow button to go over to the left side and put in what I want to have there. So I can have an eco indicator. I can have my navigation. Now there's no built-in navigation, so I just get a compass. I can have my audio information, traction monitor, which is what the default one was, that was up there. Our trailer brake controller, so there is no trailer brakes connected right now. Auxiliary gauges, so there's our battery and oil temperature, which we saw on another screen earlier. And then our turbo gauge, which we also saw on another screen earlier. Now, if I hit the right arrow button, you can see I can now set what I want to have in the middle of the screen. So I can have it blank, I can have our driving sport information, our settings, which we would just hit enter to go into, or OK rather, or messages like low tires or that sort of thing. Hit the right arrow button again, I can now change the right side of the instrument cluster, and you'll notice a lot of the things are going to be the same. So I've got a fuel economy, driving support information, navigation, which is the compass, the audio, and then drive info, trip A, trip B, and tire pressure monitor. We also have our pitch and roll, which we saw earlier, and trailer mode there now as well. So basically you can put what you want wherever you want on the screen. So that's pretty cool. All right, I'm gonna go back to the center here, and now I'm gonna hit the left or right button. I'm gonna hit the right button until I have the settings option. So it now says settings. If I press OK, that takes me into the full settings screen. So there's our lane departure alert. If I hit the OK button on that, let's see here. I gotta hold it actually to get into it. So there we go, lane departure alert, alert options. I can put it on steering vibrate or just sound. Okay, so now it'll vibrate and beep, or we can have it, sorry, it can either be one or the other. Okay, so vibrate or beep, not both. Alert timing, we can change, you know, if we want it to be less sensitive or more sensitive. I can now hit the back button to get out of this. So I'm gonna hit that top back button. There's our blind spot monitoring. Now you'll notice we can just turn it on or off, but I can also hold OK to change settings. Let's see what that means. Okay, so we have timing again, so that's our sensitivity, and then brightness, so how bright the light is in the mirror. Interesting. All right, pre-collision system. So let's hold OK to enter that. So we have warning timing again, and then just turn it on and off. Okay, back out of that one. All right, so this one here, PDA. So PDA stands for Proactive Driving Assistance. Basically what it is, now, by the way, Toyota, if you're watching, with these settings, it should say somewhere on the screen what it is. That'd be super helpful. But this is predictive driving assistance. So what it means is that if it detects that there's a car up ahead, it's going to kind of gently brake for you, even if you're not using adaptive cruise control. Or if there's a speed change in the highway up ahead and you have cruise control on, and there's not a speed change, sorry, a corner or whatever that the car has to go around, it may slow down a little bit for you. So it's going to kind of gently apply the brakes to kind of slow down around different scenarios. Cyclists on the road, people, cars around you, in front of you, that sort of thing, turns on the road, that sort of thing. Aggravating system settings, so I'm going to turn that off. There's our parking distance warning sensors. We'll leave that turned on. All right, so RCTA, rear cross traffic alert. So that's basically if there's a car coming across the back of you when you're parked, it will, or pedestrian, it will beep to let you know. PKSB is parking something brake. Basically, I can't remember what the acronym stands for, honestly, but basically what it's going to do is it's going to use the forward and rear sensors when you're parking to automatically brake the vehicle. So if you're getting too close to an object, it's going to hit the brakes so you don't crash into an object. RSA. RSA is the ability for the forward-facing camera to actually read road signs. So it's road sign assistance. So you can turn that on and off if you want. And of course, it'll tell you on the screen, you know, what the speed limit is, that sort of thing. All right, let's go into vehicle settings. I'm going to hold the OK button down. Brake suggestion. So that basically means not the brakes, not the BRAKEs, but the BREAK, like breakfast. That basically means it's going to remind you every now and then that maybe you should pull over and take a break. DRCC. DRCC is Toyota's acronym for Dynamic Radar Cruise Control. That is your adaptive cruise control. Let's hit the OK button here. All right, so this allows you to change some of the settings for the adaptive cruise. So how quickly it accelerates. You got a guide message here, which I don't know what that does. Curve speed reduction. So here, where you have the cruise control on, essentially it will reduce speed around corners, and you can actually change how aggressive it is at that. So that's nice that you can adjust the aggressiveness. Trailer settings, and we can add trailers if you want, so you can put the trailer weight and whatnot in there. Trailer light check, that's kind of cool, so it'll, you know, flash each light to make sure that all the lights are working. It just makes it easier for you to figure that out. And that's pretty much everything in the vehicle settings. So we're going to back out of there. This is cool though. I went right by it. We're going to go to meter settings. So let's hold the OK button. So now we can change a couple of different things. We got our language, obviously, units. So if you want to change everything to miles or, you know, imperial units or whatever. But meter type, look at this. So there are 3 different types of instrument cluster displays. Not sure why they call it meters, but let me show you the different display options. So right now we're on this this one here, which I think was called torque. I'm going to hit the middle one, and that changes the style, puts the speedometer as just digital and a big round tachometer. That looks pretty cool. And then we have this one here, which again changes things around a little bit. So basically there's different types of instrument cluster that you can kind of mess with. Jacob was saying that this was the most popular one, so we'll just leave it on that for now. We do have meter style as well. Oh, here we go. It's tough. That's what it's called. Okay, so we have casual. So this is now what the style of the instrument cluster is. Smart. Ooh, fancy. And we already saw tough. And we got sporty as well. Cool. All right. So some good customization in the instrument cluster. And I believe that's everything in there. Yep, so we'll back right out of that. And I think that covers absolutely everything. All right, so now we're down to the infotainment system. So first I want to show you the backup camera. Historically, Toyota's backup cameras have been pretty subpar. So let's see how they've done on the 2025. Oh, that is so much better than it used to be. Okay, good job on the resolution of the camera. The screen resolution is good as well. I just changed the thing by tapping it. Interesting. That's the same as that button. We can also change the lines. Nice. Oh, there's our rear cross traffic alert. That's perfect timing. Okay, so the dynamic steering lines. How good is the refresh rate? Let's have a look. Let's turn the steering wheel. Oh, look at that. Very smooth. Okay, so Tacoma. Toyota has finally entered the 21st century and made a reasonably good backup camera. It's fairly wide angle. I can see the cars parked beside me, not just, you know, the cars behind me. That's pretty cool. You can see the bumper along the bottom here and that silly check surroundings for safety thing. So great backup camera. Absolutely no complaints there. That's a good system. Okay, first off, buttons. Okay, well, we've got the volume knob, which is a power button, as well as a volume button, volume knob. So if I hold it, does the screen turn off? Yes, so you got to hold it to turn the screen off. Turn that back on. I'll try to keep focused on the screen here for you. Interesting that the whole system shuts down. I guess that's good if you need to reboot it, but yeah, it's a little slow to come back up. Okay, so we have, first off, navigation top left corner, which of course we can't use without subscribing. We have our audio, so select enable audio or select source. So we have sources right here. We have our radio, which is currently the only source. If we go to manage devices, we can actually enable and disable some certain things here. So in the settings, let's see, we got guest. Okay, there's our Bluetooth notification. Okay, all right. So right now, because radio is the only thing. I wonder if I hit enable audio. Yeah, it just turns it on. Okay, so radio is the only thing that will currently work because I don't have a phone connected. But we have on the left side sources of music within the radio screen. So we have our favorites here. That's no doubt customizable. We can tune to a specific channel. So 89.5, tune to station. There we go. That's working. Now, there's our favorite button there, a little heart. So if we press the heart, it's added the favorite, okay? And you'll notice that when we're actually in the radio listening, it'll show the favorites on the left-hand side here, okay? We can also search for a channel from here using voice, which is pretty cool. So let me do that again. .3.
Tuning to 99.3 FM.
All right, now I could have used the voice recognition button on the steering wheel, of course, but, you know, that's another way that works. Going back to sources, radio, again, we have favorites, tuned to a station, FM, AM, and then Sirius XM satellite radio, which is probably good for, I don't know, 3 months, 6 months, something like that. All right, we have the call button here. Now, this, of course, will only work if your phone is connected, but this will show you a dial pad and your contact list, that sort of thing. All right. Vehicle, we have trip information. So we have our current trip, historic trip. So basically this is going to show us our fuel consumption, how long the trip was, how far you drove, that sort of thing. And we can, of course, can very easily clear the data from here as well. Pretty good. Okay, that's all clear. Now let's go to settings. So in settings, you'll notice it says guest, and that's because you can set up different user profiles to remember things like your radio stations that you have favorited, that sort of thing. In order to do that, though, you're probably going to want to buy the car first. So I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to go to personal info here, see what that says. Okay, it lets us reset all the settings. Here's where we can connect up the phone to Bluetooth. Pretty straightforward. We have general settings, so we have a screen beep, which we can turn off. We have screen sensitivity, so if you find that you're pressing buttons accidentally, you can change the sensitivity. Here's where you can change your date, time zone, and the time that it currently is. We have keyboard, okay, clear search history. No idea what that's for. Language and units, obviously you can change the language, and then you can also set the units automatically depending on where the vehicle is. So currently it's in liters per 100 kilometers. So if I change that, I can change it to miles per gallon US imperial units, and it does, I believe, yeah, it changes the instrument cluster as well. So currently everything is in miles, and now it's in kilometers. Okay, pretty simple. There's not actually a whole lot to talk about on this screen. I believe though, if you tap one of these locations at the top here, it's kind of nice that it does take you to the right place. If I tap the clock, it takes me to the clock. If I tap the little where is it? Bluetooth there, it takes us into the Bluetooth settings. It's also got an icon for the Qi wireless charging, so I imagine when you have a phone on the wireless charger, this probably lights up. That would be my guess anyway. Okay, so pretty basic system, and you'll notice that the screen is a bit small in this vehicle, the 8-inch screen. For the trim levels up, you do get a bigger 14-inch screen, but they run the exact same software. It's very, very basic software. There's not a whole lot to it, but that doesn't really need to be, because most people are going to be using Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, which of course is free to use, and it is wireless in these vehicles as well. Having said that, I think I am at the end. I don't think there's anything else left to talk about in this nice little truck. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, by all means, put them in the comments below. I'll do my absolute best to answer them. And don't forget to like and subscribe if this actually helped you out. If you're looking for a 2025 Toyota Tacoma and this video was helpful, do me a favor, hit subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, take care.